Hiyo de Gaio. Let's look at a hidden gem. I guess that's what you call this. I found this in my local comic shop's quarter bins the other day, and it was part of another video where I just kind of ran a stack of stuff that I'd found in the quarter bins and some real treasures. And my first take on this was, semi schlocky kind of comic book or yeah, Sunday strips. But the more I got into it, the more I really enjoyed it, especially the storytelling. And then the art was really good as well. Now, I'm not sure if it's such a hidden gem that people don't know who John Carter is or the author Edgar Rice Burroughs, but somebody who doesn't have a gigantic comic book acumen. This is a name I was vaguely familiar with, but am just now getting acquainted with. So this is my first John Carter. Now, the really cool thing here is really great line work, black and white stuff, introducing all the characters, which is great because you have a couple things. So this is our hero. This is one faction. This is another faction, and that's kind of what's going on a little bit. And then you have ancillary characters. So we start here. For some reason, John Carter had to go back to Earth. He lives in Virginia, I guess. That's what the canon says. Now he's coming back to Mars, but it's been 10 years. And so there's these frog people, which out of the whole story, the character design on these frog guys with, like, the chompers sticking out of their mouth. There's something just really endearing and clever to me about them, which I really get a kick. Now we start here right in the middle of the story. These guys are going on some sort of pilgrimage, and they are attacked by these tree monster guys, tree men, whatever. And so John Carter just happens to be landing at the same time all this other stuff is happening. He sees that, and he finds out that he knows these guys personally, and he goes to help out his friends. They fight off the first wave of guys, and again, this is really really good character design. Again, that frog man, really cool stuff. Just get a kick out of it. Now, the story here is really good. The art I kind of dismissed the first time, but again, the more I look at it, the more I really get a kick out of it. I'll highlight another page, but they're really good at moving characters around the scenes. Almost, if you were watching a movie, it would be called blocking, how they move characters in and out of a scene. And so if you're going to use that language, the blocking in these stories is really really well done. So we go here, they fight their way out, but they see that there's hordes more coming. They run to this tree with a hole in it, so they think, oh, we can defend this opening a lot easier than out in the open ground. And so they go in there, and bang, a steel trap shuts, locking them in safely. Now they think that part of this area has to do with people having to protect themselves from these monsters, and that they're maybe in a safe place. Now, this is the part where I was really impressed of how they move the characters around the scene. So they're in the doorway, they're fighting backwards. The frogman looks like he's actually grabbing his friend. Yeah, he actually, that is a great, I didn't catch that till now. So also a fun thing, um, if you're doing sci-fi at this time, I mean, this is an old book. I think some of the original John Carter stuff goes back to 1912. At least I was looking at the copyright stuff. But if you're going to do anybody in space at this time, somebody's going to have four arms on them. And this guy does. And so it's really clever. He pulls them back, clang, it shuts, and then reverse around, and they're looking up. Oh, there's a rope ladder. Let's climb up. And so he's climbing up, looking back down at him, at his frogman buddy. And again, I'm going to just beat this to death. But that is really good rendering. Really good looking character design to get a kick out of it. And then he's looking down, And so they've mixed the warm and cool colors because it's all black as that you're looking down at the guys. He starts to climb the ladder. There's warm light. Again, Frogman's looking up at him. He's looking down, and then you could tell this is something you can intuit more than anything is that he's climbed up the ladder a little bit more because the saturation is a little bit greater. And so you come here, and they're both up the ladder, and this again more the lighting on the face really it again these things are maybe more intuitive than completely stated, but they're up the ladder and he's going out of the door, so the light that's shining on his face is the light that's going through the door. It's just kind of a clever thing. And so we have here them moving around the panels. They're in the tree going across this big limb, and then you have these reverse shots, but it's not confusing because they've made where they're going so much different. They made where they're going from so much different to where they're going to that it's hard to mistake. So when the camera moves around, you catch that. And so just really good stuff. These 2 pages here really had a good effect on me on how they were moving the guys around the panel. Just really clever stuff. Okay, so here's the bad news. They find out that the whole thing was a trap, that the frogman, part of their lore is you go, at the end of your life, you go to this shore, and then you go on some pilgrimage to eternity. Well, it turns out that there's a power behind that, and the power hates the frogmen. And so they are luring, they made up a legend for the frogmen to go to this place and meet their doom instead of going on this journey. So they find out that they're in this place, and again, four-armed tigers, great. Again, how they move the characters around, and if you, one of the things I do try on this is, what can you take out of this as an artist to get better at how you do things? If if your character has like a long trench coat or a cape, the cape mechanics on all these characters are really good. But that's one of the things I noticed. And again, the colors are really kind of awesome too. There is definitely some gnarly like Art Nouveau, modern art stuff going on in the decoration of these caves. And I think the idea is that they're wanting it to be otherworldly because they fell into this deal where they're in an arena and they're being fed to the lions. Now there's this otherworldly voice talking to them, and like, oh, this is the power behind the deception of the frogmen. And so they fight their way through. John Carter meets the bad guy who is luring all the frogmen to their death, who they don't like the frogmen. There's a prisoner here. Of course, John Carter fights the guy, frees the girl, and then we have more adventures. Now, there's an interesting cultural thing here where first John Carter disarms the guy and says, this isn't fair. I fight fair fight. I'll throw down my sword and we'll fight like men. And then John Carter, bam, knocks him out on the first punch, which I kind of get a kick out of. Just this thing. And also the thing, you look back at old sci-fi and how they saw space exploration and like the early origins of sci-fi. The thing that's neat in a compare and contrast is the technology we know compared to the technology that they thought would be in the future, is really interesting because John Carter lands on his home planet, which is Mars, but he lands on a place he's never been, meets people. I think the idea with our space exploration stories is that when they land on a planet or they go visit a planet, the whole planet's explored. There's no mysteries anywhere. Well, here it almost feels like the pilgrims coming over, that there's this whole new world and that every planet is like that. The idea of exploration, so that even if he's lived on this planet a long time, just really interesting worldview stuff of how they saw that, because they didn't have cell phones and the communication that we have. So again, he frees this woman, finds out that there's this whole other faction of people. You go on, you find out that the oppressors that don't like the frogmen have a mortal enemy in these. And again, this is just kind of a cool scene. These guys running, these pirates running. I don't know. There's something that draws me to that scene. So we have this back and forth between the pirates that don't like the oppressors, the frogman and the gal, and John Carter all trying to get away. But the ship is a scout ship, and it's too heavy to carry everybody. John Carter jumps out, fights all the pirates, jumps onto their ship, fights more of them, and finds out that a lady oppressor has been captured by the pirates and is being taken back to the pirate planet, and that's kind of the end of the story and end of the first half. Now, this was such an impactful story. The story is just so great, man. There's so many layers here, and I'm gonna do 2 parts, bro. So yeah, if you're still sticking around after 10 minutes, hats off to you. But again, this has just been so fun for me, and just yak. But the art and how they have everything laid out, and yeah, the ink is bled so hard into the thing where it's like it's not very legible. But one last thing I will say before we kind of move on are the storytelling just takes time to throw big backgrounds in there to give you a sense of where you're at. You could probably background shame me on some of my work where I just want to have the panel or the figures moving around the panel, and I'm a little bit sparse on it. But even the guys who do backgrounds, it's just part of the background. And here there's these beats where they just take 2 seconds to zoom out in the middle of the story to show the background, which is a really clever, cool thing. So yeah, um, I love the storytelling in here. All the different factions that are going on, all the things winding into each other, and then on top of it, John Carter is trying to get back home to his princess. Well, there you go. So we're more or less halfway through the story, and yeah, until then, I'll catch you next week. But pay attention to your backgrounds, your story beats, um, hot and cool colors, and how you move people around the panels. That is one of the big things I noticed about this. But anyway, until next time, see you later. Boop.